This is my 6-year-old's drawing, and this is the shirt we made from it. Even though I've been creating digital artwork for years, there's still no better feeling than holding your artwork in your hands or seeing your kid wear something that they created. Today I'm using Procolored's F13 DTF printer to turn my artwork and hers into real products we can keep forever, gift, or even sell. And at the end of this video, we'll answer the big question: is this the right printer for you? And how does it compare with print on demand? If you're like me, most of your artwork is living in the digital world, but there's something so special about connecting with people through tangible products, whether that's creating a shirt with your child that you designed together, or gifting items to a friend, or offering your artwork on tees, totes, or tea towels. It turns your creativity into something that lasts and can be treasured for years to come. And I wanted to see if Procolored's F13 DTF printer could be that bridge between screen and real life. But first, we need to set it up. The printer arrived in this impressively sturdy case, so it was time to unpack. Inside, there was a roll of film, a cardboard box with extra maintenance essentials and software, and then we had the oven, and then it was time to pull out the printer. I was a little intimidated by its size, but the instructions were super clear. They included jump drives with software and video tutorials, so it was really just following the steps, and before I knew it, I was adding ink to the tanks and pulling ink into the lines with a syringe. This part made me feel very cool and science-y. I also needed to suction some waste ink out the back. Once the ink was in and a test print was done, we were ready to print, but we needed some art. So naturally, I asked if my 6-year-old had a little freelance time to spare. This is Freddie the Fox, her most treasured stuffy. And this is Freddie on paper. Yep, my mom heart was feeling all the feels while filming this part. And she also came through with a design for me and her dad too. I wanted to put a bird on it, and man, does this girl deliver. This may be the best bird drawing that I have ever seen. For my contribution, I put a line art bouquet together using my bouquet maker brush set in Procreate. And I had a fun idea for a tote, so that's what this design was made for. Now it's time to send them to the printer. The printer's RIP software is simple and super easy to use. You just create a new job, add your art in, resize it, hit RIP, then print, and off it goes. There's a white layer of ink on the back of each print, and when it comes off, it's wet, so the resin powder will stick to that. More on that in just a second. I ended up making a black and white version of the bird and bouquet, and then we had the fox and the tote design, so that made 6 in all. Once they were all printed, it was time for resin. The resin powder is what adheres the print to your fabric, so all you need to do is dust a little bit on top of that white ink. You'll want to make sure each part of the ink is covered, and then you can reuse any excess. Before we can heat press, we need to bake this resin powder onto the print. I'm using Procolored's oven here, so once it's up to temp, you just slide your resin dusted print inside, you wait 150-ish seconds, and out it comes. You'll know it's ready for heat pressing when you see an orange peel texture to it. I completed this step for all 6 prints, and once finished, it was time for the most exciting part: heat pressing. This is a cold peel transfer, so after pressing the transfer on, it's suggested to use a glass block to cool the transfer more quickly. I don't have one of those, so I made some mason jars work, and I'm just saying, don't knock it till you try it. One last press to adhere the transfer onto the fabric, and shirt number 1 was complete. I continued this process for each shirt. First pressing for 10 seconds to smooth the fabric, pressing for 40 seconds to adhere the transfer, then cooling and peeling with a final 10-second press to finish it off. I was so impressed every time with the quality of the results. This was my first time using a DTF printer, and I found the process incredibly straightforward for a beginner. I needed a slight adjustment to my printer head after I unboxed it, and I was immediately assisted by their online support who stayed with me and guided me with video and photo instructions. It honestly may have been the best service support I have ever received, literally anywhere. Bonus points to Procolored on that one. Let's get to the reveal though, shall we? You got your t-shirt, are you ready?
Uh-huh.
Okay. What do you think?
I really like it. I love it.
That's your artwork. Isn't that cool?
Look, Freddie, it has you on it.
Yeah. Are you gonna wear it?
Uh-huh.
Okay, let's go try it on.
Mm-hmm.
So I definitely wasn't expecting this to be such an emotional experience. Just seeing her face and her joy when she got to wear her own art. I mean, how cool is that? It's a creative memory that we're gonna get to keep forever. And now that we've gone through the entire process of creating different items with the DTF printer, I do want to share some specific details about it, things that I learned along the way, because this is brand new to me. I had never used this before. So I want to share those details so you'll have them. And we're also going to get really specific and run some numbers to see if this is the right printer for you. The Procolored F13 has an effortless ink loading system, which just means it's a one-click system which automates the ink loading process. And that delivers a more stable and smoother printing experience. And earlier you saw me suctioning some waste out of the back. This is the printer's way of managing waste ink while it's printing. So that creates a clean printing environment, and it actually reduces ink wastage because of it. The included film cutter makes trimming the prints that come out nice and easy, and there's an auto cleaning system, which is my personal favorite. So if you leave your Procolored F13 powered on, every 10 hours, it will automatically perform a print head cleaning to keep it in optimal condition. So this will reduce the chance of clogs, and it will maintain your print quality over time. You should also know that their software only runs on PCs, and if you only have a Mac, you can kind of bypass this if you use Parallels to run PC software on your Mac. Now let's talk business and run some numbers. If you'd like to get into apparel printing, but you're kind of leaning towards print on demand, I've heard this from a lot of my audience, I do want to share some additional pros and cons with you, and we're going to run some numbers. These numbers are loose because keep in mind there's a ton of variables here. Which DTF printer you end up going with, where you source your apparel from, where you get your inks. And then with print on demand, there's so many different sites that you can use for print on demand, and then their providers change too. So don't come after me for these numbers. I'm just giving you a range so we can have a rough idea, because seeing the numbers laid out really helps to narrow down if this is something that you want to pursue or not, just knowing where the potential is. So let's start with DTF first, and keep in mind that if you go this route, there are upfront costs. Obviously, you need to purchase your printer, you're going to need an oven, which you saw in the video, you'll need a heat press, ink, film, blanks, depending on which apparel that you're using, and you will be packing and shipping. So you will need like poly mailers for that, and be prepared to ship your product out. As far as numbers go, I pulled directly from Procolored's website the cost of ink, resin, and film per shirt or per print. Next, you're going to need a blank. So for the purposes of this example, let's just go with t-shirts. So a blank t-shirt can cost you anywhere from $3 to $6. And this will depend on the type of quality shirt that you choose, where you source it from, and volume. If you're buying more at a time, you could also get a discount that way. So that leaves our costs around $350 to $650. And please keep in mind, this doesn't include the poly mailer, which will run you like 10 to 20 cents. And this only focuses on consumables, so things that are getting used each time. If you sell your shirt between $25 and $35, which is very common these days, that leaves you with a profit between $21.50 and $28.50 per shirt. Now let's hop over to POD. So obviously with POD, there are no upfront costs. You simply have a library of your designs. When someone purchases them, the POD service is notified. They carry all the inventory and consumables. They produce the product, they pack the product, and they ship the product for you. So obviously you're going to pay for all of those things before you get paid. So an average shirt cost, I looked at several different providers, and they typically range, depending on the quality of shirt or where you're located, between $14 and $20 per shirt. So if we charge the same exact amount for the shirt between $25 and $35, that leaves you with a potential profit between $5 and $15. And I kept it like this because if you are on the lower end of $14, chances are it's a bit of a lower quality shirt, so you probably shouldn't be charging $35 for that. So that's where I got those numbers. If you don't agree with them, just roll with me for a minute so you can see how all of this comes into play. You can for sure use your own numbers, but I want to carry this example through because I have more that I want to talk to you about. Let's get into pros and cons now. So with DTF, you have all these upfront costs because you're owning everything, but that also means that you're owning everything. You're owning control over everything. This means that you get to decide what the customer's experience is like from beginning to end, whether that's designing your own custom website, creating custom packaging, adding in some inserts if you want a promo card, or throw in some stickers or a little gift inside the bag to encourage your customer to come back and buy from you again. You can totally do that because you have full control. This can build up incredible loyalty with your customer base. You also get access to all of your customers' information. So you can share behind the scenes, upcoming collection launches. You can run your own sales, and because you have that larger margin, you have more wiggle room to offer discounts and sales throughout the year. And because you own a DTF printer now, you can also sell DTF prints to DIYers that own heat presses, and there are a lot of them. And we already went over the cons of having those upfront costs of supplies, your consumables, and your hardware. Now let's talk about POD. So with POD, basically all of the pros list from DTF move into the cons list with POD. But first, let's talk about the pros. You have no inventory, you have no labor, you're not dealing with shipping, they do everything, so there's no upfront costs. Now with cons, as you notice, there is a small profit margin. That profit margin reduces your ability to offer significant sales to your customers or your repeat customers in the future. You have zero quality control. This is kind of the biggest one for me because I am a type A kind of control freak. And even with this process, when I printed my daughter's Fox out, the first print that I saw, it was a little more muted than I wanted it. So I was like, oh, I just need to increase the saturation on this. Let's print it again. It came out gorgeous. If I sent this off to a POD, I don't know what printer is printing it. I don't know what their machines are like. Different machines will print the quality of your shirt differently. So different customers and whoever's running the printer at the time, is it running low on ink? Is the tech aware of any issues that might be in the file? You have no control over any of that. So as far as quality goes, you're just trusting that whoever is operating the printer and packing and shipping is doing a good enough job to satisfy your customer. You have zero control over this. You also have limited access to customer info. Most people use Etsy to promote their POD business because Etsy just has enormous traffic, but you're paying extra fees on top of that. But Etsy and the POD service are getting more information about your customer than you are. This prevents your ability to keep in touch with them and build up loyalty to have them repeat buy in the future. You also have reduced control over your customer experience, whether that's the Etsy experience or the POD service itself. Whatever journey the customer is taking, you have not defined that. You don't get to add in any extra little giftables in the package or follow up with an email to ask them how they're enjoying their new product. So that customer's experience is defined by other people, not you. I fully recognize that owning a DTF printer is a large investment and it requires long-term thinking. So let's long-term think together for just a couple examples, because it always helps me to see what my potential is. If I were to stick with something, if this is something I definitely want to do and I want to spend my time on, what kind of goals can I set for myself and what kind of outcome can I expect if I hit those goals? So let's keep a very achievable number in mind. 2 shirts a day for an entire year. That would be roughly 730 shirts. If you run sales, if you do promotions, if you do ads of any kind, you're going to increase awareness of your products. If you're just spreading awareness, this number is more than achievable. And if you have sales throughout the year, you can obviously get a nice bump in sales. So some days could be much higher than 2 a day. So I figured 2 a day, good example. So 730 shirts a year. Let's look at DTF first. So I'm using that range that we established a bit ago about potential profit, and I'm going to multiply 730 shirts for the low end number, which was $2,150, and the high end number, which is $2,850. So that gives us $15,695 to a potential $20,805. Now let's imagine this out just a little further. So if you're having a good year, if you're promoting regularly and loving your business, and you are producing 5 shirts a day for an entire year, that gets to 1,825 shirts. So let's do the exact same math. That gets you a range of 39,000 to 52,000 a year. And now we're getting to the range of potentially replacing your full-time income if you're a previous graphic designer like myself. And then let's take it a little bit further. So 10 shirts a day, that's getting up to 3,650 shirts. You may need a little part-time help in there to produce those, but luckily you have the margins to be able to do that with a potential yearly income of $78,000 to $104,000. Now keep in mind that this is profit because when we figured out our potential profit earlier, we deducted all consumables from that, except for shipping because different people handle that different ways. And if you charge extra for shipping, then you'll be much closer to these numbers. Finally, just for aspirational sake, let's check out 20 shirts a day. So that's the equivalent of 7,300 shirts per year. And that gets you a range of between 157,000 and 208,000 a year. So this is on the DTF side. Now let's talk about POD. We're going to be using that same potential profit number again, which was $5 to $15 a shirt. And we'll use the exact same scenario, 2 shirts a day, 730 shirts a year. Now we're looking at a potential profit of $3,650 to $10,950 a year. This is having someone else do everything for you. You are going to be paying for that a lot, so hopefully you're spending that extra time that you're saving by not producing your items on something else that brings you joy. Following through with the same quantities, at 5 shirts a day, you're looking at a range of $9,125 to $27,375. Moving on to 10 shirts a day through POD, you'll be potentially profiting $18,250 to $54,750 a year. And then taking it all the way to the highest end of the examples that we have here, 20 shirts, 7,300 shirts per year is going to get you a potential profit of $36,500 to $109,500. I just think it's super useful to keep volume in mind because those numbers start drifting further and further apart. And if this is something that you're serious about, it's really important to know how much loss you'll have or how much you can gain. So it'll all come down to what satisfies you and brings you the most joy. If spending time creating beautiful products for your customers and keeping in touch with them and really creating a long-term business with custom apparel is something that gets you really excited, then a home DTF printer like the Procolored F13 is something to get very serious about, especially looking at these numbers. And if you're just looking to create a few designs and throw them up and maybe make a few bucks here and there, then POD is definitely the better option for you. If you'd like to try this out for yourself or learn more, I've linked the printer as well as some additional resources right in the video description. Thanks so much for watching and sharing this little creative memory with me. I hope it inspires you to turn your own digital artwork into something. Anything you can hold, whether it's for yourself, for a loved one, or even a future customer. I'll see you next time.